Hi, I'm Serena, abstract artist. Welcome to my art channel, which is mainly about painting. And abstract landscape painting is what I am talking about today, and some of the work that I have recently done to do with abstract landscape. So I've been inspired by some plein air painting I did, and I shared it in the last episode, so check back there if you're interested. And from that I took things like colour and colour combinations, and I used them in these paintings. And each of these paintings has its own elements and that make it more or less abstract and sometimes surreal. So what makes an abstract landscape painting? I have been asked that question before, and I think for me it's to do with intuition and perception, and memory of course as well. So even when presented with a landscape, I find I'm not painting the landscape as I see it. So I'm not painting the horizon as I see the horizon, or the tree as I see the tree. These are things that develop as I paint, and they're not necessarily anything that you would recognize. But then things appear within the painting that make the painting recognizable. And I think that applies to the viewer as well. So you may come across a painting that embodies something about travels in the landscape, or something about your time in a landscape, or when you holidayed somewhere even. So here are the paintings framed and mounted. And I was experimenting between just framing without a mount or adding a mount in, and seeing which way round I liked it. There is always an option to go for a bigger frame and a bigger mount, and then you get all the painting in. Well, apart from the tiny edges, you'll get all the painting in. So I did just say that if you go one video back, you'll see the plein air painting, but actually that was 2 videos ago. And in the last video, you will find these paintings. And it's just a music video actually, with some process. And I haven't gone all out with the process because it makes the videos quite a lot longer and maybe boring for some people. But if you want more process, do let me know in the comments and I will add more process in. So the last video was the plein air painting video, and this video is the inspired larger workups. So the painting started in generally the same way. I like to choose some colours, maybe 1 or 2 to start off with, and then move the paint around the surface and add water, and just at this point have some fun with the painting. I'm not making huge decisions, but like I add in marks perhaps with, and in this case, a watercolour pencil, and sometimes I'll use an oil pastel. Next phase is to add some paint and perhaps some more colours. And at this stage, I'm looking at technical aspects like composition and balance and light and things like that, and changing things and adding things and taking things away until the painting becomes the painting I want it to be. And I will use a variety of tools for that. I'll use a brush, a palette knife, maybe other things as well if I have them to hand. So for this painting and the next painting, I coloured the frames in the colours I used in the paintings because I wanted a more whole approach to the painting. When mounting the painting, I chose a colour that I thought would go with the colours in the painting. So I chose the off-white because the white was quite harsh. And this little creature on the hill here is why I named this painting Creature on the Hill. And I do like the idea of surreal painting or fantasy painting, and to me this has become a little bit more like fantasy painting or surreal painting than just abstract landscape. But abstract elements in the painting will cause you to think, oh, there's something going on there. So for instance, this one I called Red Car because there's a little red car in the painting that appeared, which is really nice and makes it interesting. Sharing some of the process now of that red car painting and how I started the painting. So I started it in a very similar fashion to the other painting, Creature on the Hill, by choosing some colours, moving them around, adding some water. Bear in mind these are acrylic paintings and you can use water or a flow improver if you want to. I prefer just using water. It's on paper. If I'm using a canvas, I may well use flow improver. So for this painting as well, I painted the frame in the colours that I used in the painting, because like I said, I wanted a more whole approach, and I think that worked for me personally. And I'm showing you a lot of the painting up framed because that is, like I said, how you would view it normally when you see a painting available anywhere in a gallery or in an artist studio or even online. There will be an element of this is what it's going to look like framed. So it gives you an idea of what it will look like in your space as well. This is a run through of all the paintings, up, framed, mounted, or not mounted and framed, etc. So this painting is called Creature on the Hill, and inspired by my journeys out and about painting plein air actually. This one, Red Car, is also inspired by those journeys out and about in the landscape or views from a train or just generally meandering about. And this painting is certainly more of a workup of those two plein air paintings because I've used exactly the same colours, and so far these two are untitled, but I will be adding some titles to them. This to me looks like a figure in the landscape, and this one is more an actual horizon and you can see cloudburst, etc. So perhaps this one is more rooted in what we see as a vista in the landscape. But I'll be titling these two later. These are untitled paintings, these two are. Normally I like to title my paintings immediately, but I think these two required some thought, hence. And it's not immediately apparent as to what the title is. Whereas with Creature on the Hill and Red Car, those things came out pretty quickly. I've got an idea about this one, the surreal one, because I can see that figure in there. So, yeah, it looks a bit Opathy, doesn't it? Like an Opeth album cover, something like that, perhaps. So maybe I'll have to be inspired by one of their songs or albums. But going forward, if you are interested in any of my paintings, head over to my website, serenakiani.co.uk, and you'll find loads more paintings there.